All right, welcome everybody. Here we are at the Masters Europe race. We are going to do a little commentary here. This was the race that took place on Tuesday. That's me in the SAS in the blue, Rick Sorenson, Sorenson Coaching. If anyone has any desire to be coached, you can certainly look for my page on Facebook. In the meantime, we're going to run through this this race because it was kind of an interesting race. There was some good stuff that happened. Oh, by the way, I don't have my webcam set up, so this is going to be disembodied voice just for this one, so bear with me on this. At any rate, typical fast start here. That's just the way Zwift is. Just you know, you got to deal. What can I say? It's just the way it is. You're going to come flying out of the gate. I don't know what the point is of, you know, starting at 700 watts for guys that just go screaming out for the first K. I don't get it, but whatever. It is good training. I don't like it too much, but it's good training. I mean, for the cross guys and the mountain bike guys, it's what they have to do anyway, so. But for the rest road guys, there's not much worse than a road race than just sprinting off the line, but whatever. As usual, we're off the line and flying here. Again, this is the ZHR Masters race on Tuesday, which would have been March 26th. And we're going to do 12 laps of this New York course, which is a lot of laps. Basically, this is a crit. A few little bumps. So, you know, you kind of need to, no matter who you are, you need to decide what your goal is for any, really for any ride. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, have a plan. And typically in races, for me, I like to either decide whether it's a training race or it's a results race. Now, obviously, Zwift is a training tool. So all races are a training race, but some races you'd like to get a result in. And the Masters Series is something I think we like to get results in. I know I do. And since it's age graded, you know, my goal is always to win the G's, my age category. G stands for Grandpa, by the way, in case you wondered. And so, my goal is always to win my category, and then to finish as high in the overall as possible. Because, you know, we're bike racers, we're competitive. I think most everybody tries to finish as high as they can. I mean, I don't know anyone that just locks into their age category and says, okay, I'm 12 minutes behind, but I'm winning my category, so I don't care. So, whatever. It makes it, the good thing about the ZHR races is you have two things to race for. You race in your category as well as race for the overall if you choose to. So in this particular case, this is a results race for me. Now, what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is for me. If it's a training race for me, I will flog myself. I will do a lot of attacking. I will really make a lot of kind of efforts that I would not normally make in a results race, because I'm trying to save some matches for when things are going to get crazy. And if it's a training race, then I'm just going to basically go out and beat myself to death to get as much training as I can. Now, most Swift races are so hard that you're going to do a certain amount of that anyway. So, a little bit different than going out on the road there, but so now we're on the first lap of 12. 17 miles to go. Front group has been decided, which, you know, that's always, you know, my first goal is to make the front group. So, you know, you got to get off the line fast, and then just try to sit in. I'm assuming this race is going to come down to a sprint, since it's a flat course. I would guess we're going to be looking at 10 to 15 guys. Probably there'll be a little paring down of this group as we go along. We'll see how aggressive everybody is. But these are all strong guys. I mean, everybody in this group right here is a strong guy. So there's really nobody in this group that's just hanging on. These are all strong guys in here. So, and I'm certainly not the strongest guy. So, I mean, and realistically, how many times do you ever show up to a ride or a race and you are the strongest guy? Well, I don't know about you, but that's pretty darn rare for me. I mean, it probably hasn't happened to me in many, many years. So, so what that means is you have to use whatever your strengths are and try to ride smart. Minimize the big efforts you need to make. only make them when you have to. Draft as much as possible, given Zwift's kind of bizarre draft algorithm that they have. But I'll tell you, I've kind of figured out after 300 some races kind of the way Zwift draft works. I like to think of it as like it's like a little pool, like a little wading pool, and there's waves that go from one side of the pool to the other, and these waves are kind of what carry you along. That's why you know, you can be sitting at exactly the same wattage and go from front to back, because there's waves of guys that have all of a sudden pushed bigger wattages behind you, and their wave just comes right up and to the back you go. So you're constantly riding these little waves around Zwift, and that's kind of my analogy for how it works, you know. And I like to say the Zwift draft, you only feel it when you're not in it. So and anyone who's ever gotten detached from a group and watched that group just blow up the road while you're cranking out 450 watts trying to get back on knows exactly what I mean. The blob in Zwift is just rolls right along. So it's definitely a learning curve trying to figure out how to race in Zwift, but a lot of the basic rules of racing outside apply to Zwift as well. So that's what we're doing today. So we're rolling around here, and I'm just going to try to give you know, my insight as to how the race went for me, what I was trying to do, and what I'm trying to do at this point, as we're now on the second lap, is I'm going to try to accomplish a couple things here. I'm going to try to, you know, you obviously got to monitor things. So there's all sorts of little moves that go off the front. Like there's one right there. I'm not going to, there's absolutely zero need for me to chase that down, because I'm sitting with 25 other guys and we're blowing along at 29 miles an hour. There's not a solo move in the world right here that's going to work. It's not going to happen. There's just too much rolling speed in the blob. So, you know, you just got to kind of measure your efforts, you know. I mean, one guy, two guys, it's not going to work. Tim Cartwright, maybe. If you're going to go off the front of this group and stay away, you're going to have to hold probably close to 6 watts a kilo to stay out there. And, I mean, who's going to do that? I mean, I certainly am not. So, plus we still have 15 miles to go. So that does lead me to another one of my little Zwift things that I like to do. If it's a fairly flat course or a rolling course, you will never see me off the front or doing anything in the first half. Now this is an interesting point in the race right here, because things are getting really lined out, and you're seeing this single line of riders ahead of me. There's maybe 7 or 8 riders up there, so this is a little bit of a danger point right here. Still got a lot of guys, a lot of fast guys, but you can see there's some alarm bells going off all around. What you need to remember here is if you're cranking out 350 watts like I am right now, and I'm still on a wheel, that front group is not going to get away. Now, if you're all of a sudden by yourself, that front group could get away. But there's still all these guys around me, and here comes the wave. Here comes a wave of guys behind me that were pushing out some big watts, and here they come. And guess what? There's a wheel, and son of a gun, the whole group's back together. So I didn't, you know, I had to do some work there, but you didn't see me panic and get myself out in no man's land and start ripping off 500 watts trying to get up there. And that was only because there's a bunch of guys around me, and we're only 8 minutes in, so you still have, everyone's fresh. So stuff usually doesn't stick in any sort of real race or a Zwift race until later on when guys get tired. I mean, when everyone's fresh, you know, you're not going to get away. It's just not going to happen. So that's why, you know, you want to minimize your efforts. Always use that draft. Always make sure you have a wheel. And, you know, just pay attention. You just got to pay attention all the time. I mean, Zwift is not, you know, you can lose your concentration in a road race sometimes. Not a big deal. You lose your concentration in Zwift and you're doing whatever, and you can look up and all of a sudden you're 20 meters off the back. You're in deep trouble. So you just can't do that in Zwift. You got to really got to focus and pay attention all the time. But the big key for a race like this, that I think not only for me but for anyone that wants to get a result, is you got to try to figure out what you're going to do at the end, because this is not going to be a solo thing. This is going to be a deal where it's going to come down to some sort of sprint, probably. So what you need to do is every time you go around, you got to figure out where you're at and read the course. Try to figure out where you might want to get away, and or plan out your final sprint or whatever. Just have a plan. Don't just get up there with half a mile to go and go, okay, we're going to wing it. Have a clue. Have a clue what you're trying to accomplish. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna, even now, this early on, in the third lap here, I'm trying to figure out this little course as we go around. There's some ups and downs. The little hills, they're nothing, because everybody goes hard up the hills. So, if you're gonna make a move or something's gonna happen, it's probably gonna be on a flat around here somewhere, because everybody goes hard up the hill, and then it kind of regroups and everybody settles back in. So and there, obviously there's no climbs, so this is a flat, fairly flat course with just a few bumps. So you got to try to figure this out as we work our way around. I'm sure the group will get a little bit smaller as we go, and then you got to hope that you have an aero power up for the end, because if you don't have an aero power up in a Zwift sprint, you're cooked. You're not gonna win. You're probably not gonna get second or third either. Unless you're just some freak sprinter who can crank out 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 watts, which I'm not. Otherwise, you got to have an aero power up. In a Zwift sprint, you have to have an aero power up. That's all there is to it. I have one at this point, and I guarantee you I'm not using it unless I'm in extremely deep trouble and I have to try to use it to get across, because I might not get another one. I mean, I might, probably would, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to hold on to this till the very end, because I know I'm going to need it. So now we got a guy off the front, another guy off the front. Good on him, he's going to make a big surge, but, really, you're just going to have to hold such speed out there. You're going to have to go 32 miles an hour by yourself. And I can't do that. Most of these guys in this group can't do that. So, the best thing you can hope for is that somebody comes up to you. But usually with the wave action, if one guy goes, another guy goes, another guy goes, pretty soon everything's strung out and guys are following wheels and cranking out 350, 400 watts, and it's all back together. So that's the way these kind of deals usually play out. So we go up this little hill here, and, as usual, guys are, starting to go crank out some pretty good numbers. But everybody's cranking out bigger numbers. I've never quite have really understood in sprint or in Zwift why guys just rip it up these little hills. It doesn't make any sense, because everybody's doing the same thing. So, you're hoping you do it and nobody else does it, I guess. But so in this case, if you look on the map on the upper right, you can see things that's a single file line. So once again, you got to really be aware here. How many guys are ahead of you? Are you on a wheel? Are the guys whose wheel you're on going fast? If you're on a wheel and he's going 3.2, that's not fast enough. So this is definitely a little dangerous spot right here. That's a strong line in front of me, and they're motoring right along. So as you can see, where I'm sitting, I'm just kind of monitoring this whole thing. But this is a danger spot right here. This is definitely a danger spot. I don't have anybody in front of me, and that group is motoring. That group is actually starting to pull away. So this is one of those deals where the alarm bells start to go off for me here. I realize that I need to really do something to try to get back up there, because nobody's going to pull me up there at this point, even though now I've got on this guy's wheel, but I went by him. And look at that group. They've got 4 or 5 seconds. This is definitely a scary time. I'm playing with serious fire right here. Serious fire. If those guys keep the speed up there, they could have ridden away right there. If they had 3 or 4 guys that are pushing between 5 and 6 and kept their speed up, they're going to stay away. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous for someone who wants to get a good result at the end. So I'm banking on everybody else right now, because I can't do it by myself. So that guy throws down an aero power up. He's going to jump across. He's clearly in panic mode, and he should be. So, but the thing I've got going for me here is still a big group. This is a big group with a lot of rolling speed. So, despite the fact that I'm a little spooked at this point that there's so many guys still up there, I'm just going to try to ride at the front here and keep up a good pace, even though this is, like I said, definitely playing with fire. Because if I don't make that group, if it doesn't come back, I'm not going to get back to it. It'll be gone. So now this guy has jumped in front of me, and I've decided I have to go too. I mean, I have to go. This is the group is not going to get me back there at this point, so I've got to make the move to try to get across myself. So I've got to burn a match right here, and I don't want to, but I've got to really push hard, 550 watts, and I'm going to wave myself right up there. So I did, but I would rather have not have done that, but I felt like I really had to at that point, because these are guys who can win the race up in here, up in this group. So I had to burn a match and get up there. And then if you look at the map in the upper right, there is a gap. It says 4 seconds. So, but those guys are pushing hard back there too. So, you just never know whether that group is going to get back on or not. I mean, is there strong enough guys in there? I mean, everybody at this point is probably a little bit tired, because they've been pushing hard for several minutes here. Now we're flying up this little hill, and I'm going to find myself at the back of this group. So I've got to do some, I've got to push out some watts just to make sure I stay in there. So this is exactly what I don't need to be the first guy here. I just got to stay in contact. I don't need to worry about anything else except staying in contact. Kind of looks like this group's going to stay away now, because look at that gap kind of opening up behind us. Again, it just depends on whether there's enough motivated guys in the group to keep the pace up. There's got to be upper 4s and 5s as far as effort. I mean, if it's 3.5, then that's how groups come back together. If it's 4.5 or 5.1 or 5.2, and you got 2 or 3 guys that are pushing that and rolling through, keeping the wave going, and then that's how the group speed stays up. Not one guy up there hammering, but one guy pulls through hard and the next guy waves and rolls right through by him. That's how the speed stays up in these small groups, not by just one guy sitting up there. It's if everybody keeps the pace up. So at this point, the pace is not that hot. You look at those numbers over on the right. There's 3.7, there's 3.6, there's 4.2. That's really not enough to really pin that group behind us out, which is what I would like to do. I mean, you always want to be in as small a group as possible. It's a lot easier to beat 7 or 8 guys than it is 27 or 28 guys. So I would like to be in as small a group as possible. It makes my chances better for a higher overall finish. So, I'm going to do whatever I can do to kind of try to keep the pace going here, but I'm certainly not going to go up there and just drill it, because we still have 11 miles to go. We're not quite even to the halfway point of the race yet. We're on lap 5. So I would rather that group didn't come back, but it's certainly not going to meet. Plus, I'm not going to drive this anyway. I mean, like I said, these are all, I'm not the strongest guy up here. So that doesn't make any sense, for me to try to be big man on campus. That's because I'm not. So, I'm a good, solid, all-around rider. I'm also probably the oldest guy in this group. So there you go. You got to be smart. You always got to be smart about your efforts. Never do more than you have to do. But then recognize that when you really you have to do it, then you just really have to do it. You can't mess around. So in the meantime, I'm going to sit here in this group, because now it kind of looks like that group is clawing its way back to only 5 seconds back there. I see some red numbers flashing way up behind us. So there's some people in the back that are really starting to panic now that they're not going to make this front group. So you can see some of them are jumping off back there trying to get up here. And I think a couple of them do. So this group will swell up a little bit. I think there's about 8 of us in there right now. But look at that group behind us. Man, they are all stretched out. And they're coming fast. I mean, and there's going to be some of that wave action back there. When you have that 4 or 5 or 6 guys that are pushing big efforts, and one of them is coming by and another one's coming by, that's the wave. And there are a couple, 3 of them, 4 of them, they're going to wave right up to us here. And that's the way that works. So despite the fact we've held some pretty decent speed, upper 4s, but see, there's a wave. Here they come. And these are the guys that made the big effort from that group behind us. And they're gonna make contact. So good for them. I mean, that's good work on their part. So a lot of these guys up here are guys I race against every week. Rooney and JoJo, and they're all class guys, and they're strong guys. So you can't take any of these guys up in this group for granted. Waldemar, I mean, they're terrific guys. So we're gonna go up to this little edge here, and this is kind of the death knell for the last of those guys behind us. They're in, with a big surge like this. They've been going fast behind us. Yeah, that's trouble for them. Now it's just all stretched out. Now once again, I've kind of gotten myself gapped off the back here. That's really not a smart move on my part. The guy in front of me is not going fast. So luckily we're going downhill and we're all carrying speed, including me. So that means I have a much better chance. But this is kind of dumb to get gapped right here. That's why now I have to go over 400 watts to try to make sure I get back on there. That's just silly. You know, that's just, I just wasn't paying attention going up that hill close enough to make sure I maintained myself on the wheel. So I kind of had to burn a semi-match there to get back on. So not really the best thing to do, but you know, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Nobody rides a perfect race. So, but now you can see that gap has formed again behind us. We did pick up, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 riders, so we have maybe a dozen guys up here now. And I don't think that back group has got the firepower or the will to live to get back up to us. So probably this group is going to be the front group that's going to stick this out. Probably. So I'm just going to ride along here, try to get some recovery, because the last few minutes have definitely been hard. We are now at the halfway point. Now you really need to start thinking about your end game. It's not that far to go. I mean, it's still 6 laps, but I need to, at this point, what I'm trying to do is, I have been just racing, making sure I was trying to keep up and covering that gap and doing that. Now I really need to start thinking about tactics. What am I going to do at the end if indeed this is the group that's going to come to the end? Even though now that little girl behind us, the survivors, they're still sticking it out back there. I mean, they're not that far. And I think somebody comes across. I don't remember. I don't actually remember what happened. You know, it gets a little foggy at my age occasionally, so I don't really remember. But a couple of pushes from our group keeps the speed up high, and all of a sudden that gap starts to yaw open again. But I'm not really too worried about that, because basically the guys I need to worry about are all in this group. I mean, I think this is the group that's going to go. So I'm going to go back to my little tactics idea here. So what I'm starting to do here is I'm starting to really pay attention to where the finish is and what I'm going to try to accomplish at the end, what I'm going to try to do. And I think that's a really good idea for every racer. So, but there's 2 parts to that. You need to try to plan out what you're going to do, but then you're gonna be flexible enough to change and respond if all of a sudden stuff starts to go south that wasn't in your plan, which happens about half the time anyway. So never set up a plan that's so rigid you can't adjust on the fly, but have a plan. It's nice if you have a plan and you can execute it, but just don't be so rigid in it that you get locked in, and then you just get tunnel vision and you end up not reacting, because bike racing is so much, especially in Zwift, is so much about reactions and being able to make very quick reactions. Because if you don't and you can get gapped in the Zwift world, boy, you can get in deep trouble in a hurry when you're riding with strong guys. Like all these guys in here are strong. So anyway, I'm going to try to figure out what my end game. At this point, I don't know. I don't know what my end game is. I know I don't want to come to the end and just sprint. That's because I'm not going to win in that deal. But a lot of pace as we go over this little hill. Some red numbers in front of us. I find myself at the back of the group again, which is fine as long as I'm still in contact. You know, you just don't want to find yourself at the back of the group and losing contact. So we got a long line here. That was a big surge going over the line. But again, I'm not worried, because I look ahead of me and I got 5 numbers in front of me. I'm sitting on a wheel. We're all rolling downhill. Son of a gun, here comes, we're gonna wave ourselves right back up here. There's definitely more of the momentum in Zwift than there is, I think, on the road. You can slow down in a hurry on the road, but it seems like in Zwift you make those big efforts, and then there's this delay thing while your own little wave just, you know, pushes you right up there. So now we're on lap 7, 5 laps to go, 8 miles. And I'm really trying to figure out where, I know, like I said, I know what I don't want to do. I don't want to come into a group sprint situation, because I'm not the strongest sprinter. I know I'm not the strongest sprinter in this group. I'm going to get 4th or 5th or something like that if that happens. particularly because it's a flat. It's basically a flat to downhill finish. If I remember right, we got to go over a little hill and then down. So I have paid a little bit of attention as I'm trying to survive here. But, so I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. So getting away solo, probably not going to happen. So I need to try to come up with some sort of plan here. So at this point, I'm really starting to pay attention to, you can see the back group is gone. So this is it. This is the bike race for me in this group right here. So I really need to pay attention now as to where the finish exactly is, what the road is coming up to the finish, and what do I think I can do. Because I think most of these guys, there probably will be some more attacks, but most of these guys are also assuming there's going to be a sprint finish. So, and these guys are all strong, and they, probably 4 or 5, at least half this group is a better sprinter than me, I'm guessing. So I'm just kind of a good all-arounder. I'm not the best climber, I'm not the best sprinter, not the best time trialer, but I can do all those things fairly well. But I'm certainly not the best at any of them. So we're going to come around here, and now I'm starting to really look and think, okay, what exactly can I do here? I'm not going to be able to take off in solo. That's not going to happen. There's too much firepower here. And everybody also knows that that would be a good move. So I know we make this little downhill here. And I always look up on the map on the upper right to see where the arch is for the finish, because that also gives me an idea. Okay, these cobbles right here. Now I know these cobbles we're not going to be far from the finish. So I know we cross the cobbles, and then we start to go downhill. Not a lot downhill, we go a little bit downhill. Then the road's going to bend to the left, and we're going to go over a little kicker, and then we're going to go down to the finish. So I'm starting to formulate a plan here. Okay, so here's this little left turn. I'm assuming if it all came together at the finish, all of us were right here, this would be crazy. Everyone's just going to sprint like mad people up this little hill, this little 5% hill, and then we're going to pop over the top, kind of like they are right now, only it'll be all red numbers. And I have to put out some 500 watts right here because there is a lot of speed as everyone decides to go over. I'm not sure why everyone's going so fast at this point, but kind of finding myself towards the back here again, but I'm in contact. We're going downhill. So there's the finish. All right, so we're going to punch over that hill, and then we're going to roll about 200 meters to the finish downhill. So now I'm starting to think, okay, so maybe what I could do is I need to try to time it. I kind of like the way the finish sets up, because we're going to go across a little flat section. We're going to go on a little downhill first. So I'm thinking if what I could do, if I could be at the back of the group when we make the little downhill, and then get some momentum and draft and fly through that little group of the downhill, and then as the downhill ends, then punch it for everything I've got. But I need to time it and see how far that is, and see if I think I can go from there to the finish. Because all I need is a gap. All anybody needs is a gap, because you got to remember, if you take off far enough from the finish, you want the good guys behind you to hesitate. Because if they hesitate, you can get a gap. And then if you can hold, or at least keep your speed really high until the finish, that's how you can win solo. But you've got to get some hesitation behind you. They're not going to hesitate if you're too close, because everyone is just going to go, because you're close enough. Everyone can get to the finish at full speed. And if you're too far out, they might hesitate, and you might get a gap, but you're too far out, and you can't hold your speed for that long. It's just too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time it as we come around this time on this lap. I'm going to time it and see how far it is from that little downhill, and see if I think I can make it across to the finish from there. So in the meantime, we got a lot of speed here. We still have a lot of little accelerations. Guys are pushing the pace. I think just kind of seeing if maybe somebody can get a gap. But everyone's pretty reactive, and which means there's still a lot of strength here. There's still a lot of speed, still a lot of good strong legs. So not really going to be that easy to get away for sure. So that's what I'm doing on this lap. I'm going to take a look around, and I'm going to time it and see how far it takes me to get from where I think I would like to go to the finish. I think it's right here. So about in here, I want to come through the group at speed, and then right about out in here, I want to punch out through it. So I'm going to look at the clock. It says 29:48 because I want to go right in here. I want to go actually right before there. I want to go full gas because I'm going to go across this little flat section, and then I'm going to go downhill. So I'll be carrying a lot of speed, and I won't be slowing down because I'll be going downhill. So I know I can't do it for more than a minute, and probably 45 seconds is going to be a stretch. So right now I'm watching the clock to see, because I know now I'd be going downhill, 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 and then we're going to start to sweep to the left. We're going to go up over this riser. And if I have anything left, this will be brutal to get over this last little riser and still stay in, if I have any kind of lead. Again, depending on what happens behind me. And as we have every other time, guys are blowing red numbers going up over this thing. And you know, the last time over it, it's going to be just crazy numbers. But I'll have to get up over this and then down. So looking at my clock, I timed it, and it's roughly a minute. It's going to be about a minute because it's going to be faster than what we just did if I'm going full gas from where I think I can jump. So now we're on lap 9. So okay, so now I've measured it out, and I think, yeah, I think I can go that whole distance full gas. So that's my plan. So now we've got almost 6 miles to go. So I've got a good plan that I think I can execute. But it depends, obviously, on what everybody does around me. So what I need to be very careful of, and this is where not being too rigid and set in your plan comes in. Even though I know what I'm going to do, I need to watch what everyone else is going to do coming up to the end here. So, for instance, if we're 1.5 miles out or 2 miles out or whatever, and somebody goes, do I let them go? Because then they could win solo, because anyone who thinks they can win in a sprint doesn't want to do anything until the sprint. So that's what you're banking on if you're someone that's going to try to do something before the sprint. That's what you're banking on. I don't want the sprinters. The sprinters don't want to go until they know they're at the spot that they think they can go full gas from there to the line, because that's the key to anyone's sprint. When you get to the point between point A and if point B is the finish, when you get to your own personal point A, whether it's 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters, where your strength, you know you can just rip it from there, then you go. You don't wait for anybody else. And that's what sprinters are counting on. They're counting on getting to their spot where they know they can go. So we just have to wait and see if the rest of the field is going to cooperate with my plan. And the other point that could really mess up my plan is if I have to do a bunch of work before I get to my designated launch spot, because if my heart rate's 170 at the designated launch spot, I'm not going to get 45 seconds or a minute out of my legs. I'm going to fold way before that. So I need to be as efficient as possible, save as much gas as possible for that final big effort. And again, that'll depend on what everybody else does around me. So I certainly don't want to chase anything, and I'm going to try to ride as many wheels as possible as we get up towards the end. But my positioning's pretty critical here too, because when we get to this spot right here, I don't need, if I'm in front, then I'm not carrying the speed through the group that I want to. I want to get a little kickstart and blow right out of that group and then go and use the draft and the speed of the group and then punch right over this spot. So at this point, I've really got this nailed down. We gotta have 2 laps to go, and I know what I'm gonna try to do here. So it is not the safe way to go. I could definitely finish 12th. Because I have done longer sprints before, or efforts where I went out early because I didn't think I was the strongest sprinter, and I've gotten caught with 100 meters, 50 meters from the line. All of a sudden, 4 guys just comes torching right by you, and you finish 5th or 6th. That's certainly a danger, but I would rather take the chance to do it and maybe win rather than just play it safe and get fifth. So that's just the way I like to race. I don't like to just take the status quo. I mean, if I get a chance to do something, I'm going to do it. But if everyone cooperates, I'll give it a try. But otherwise, I know that I will. I'll finish fifth or sixth. I know I will. So again, we got a lot of speed going over that little hill. Everyone just seems to like to punch it right over that thing. Which, you know, I'm like, whatever, whatever works for you guys. I'm just going to try to follow wheels here. So for me, it's all about positioning right here and making sure nobody gets off the front. So so it's going to be a little bit of a dance between here and the finish for me to try to make sure I can position myself just right for my launch. So but getting back to what I was talking about as far as you know, taking chances on things. You know, that's just the way I like to race. I like to be aggressive, but you can't be stupid aggressive. But you know, and this isn't stupid aggressive. I think this is a good plan, but you know, we all know the best plans go out the window sometimes too. So I definitely have been in a lot of races that didn't go to plan at the end, and you know, then you still finish fifth or sixth or seventh. But one of my standard things I always say is to make people beat you. Don't let them beat you. So if I just sit in here and wait for the final sprint and I get fifth, I have let those guys beat me. Now if I take off and make a really smart try and I still get caught and finish fifth, at least I made them beat me. I didn't let them beat me. And trust me, I sleep better at night knowing that I made people beat me rather than just let them beat me. So now, of course, that also, you know, that works well if I was hanging on to this group for my life and was just, you know, barely even making contact, then that's a different ball game. Obviously, at that point, I'd probably finish 12th and be happy with it, and that's fine. But you know, I feel good enough at this point that I think I can make the big try at the end and give it a shot and see what happens. But we're seeing some aggression. We're seeing some fives and, you know, high numbers, and things are getting stretched out again here. So again, I'm just gonna I just gotta maintain contact. I don't want to burn any gas that I don't have to. See, just even that little surge that I did just to make sure I stayed in contact, my little wave just took me right up to the middle of the group, and that's the way it works in Zwift for sure. So now we're down to 3.5 miles, and I think everyone probably starts getting a little nervous at this point because everybody in this group is trying to set up their own finish the way they want it to finish. So I'm just going to try to upset the sprinter's apple cart here is all I'm trying to do. And here's my spot. I know we're going to come down here. There's the sweep. There's the cobbles. At this point, I'll be going full gas, I hope. And it just depends on what happens behind me as to whether I succeed or not. If there's any sort of hesitation at all, and I can get some kind of a gap, it's just not that far to the finish. And I'm helped by the fact that I've got this downhill run here. If this was all uphill, I wouldn't do this because I wouldn't be able to hold it. And that those uphill sprinters would just devour me. But since I'm going to carry all this speed down to the bottom of this hill, I'm banking on having a few seconds lead that I can just, because I know I'll be just dying at this point, that I can try to hold it and get up over this thing to the finish. So, as usual, red numbers as we come, orange numbers, whatever, as we come over this hill with the second to last time. So I've got to go 500 watts just to keep contact. But again, I mean, where am I? Am I at the very front thinking I need to be there? Nope, I'm at the very back just on a wheel. That's all I need. That's all I need is just to be in contact. I don't need to be at the very front. This, you know, it's not going to, I just don't think anybody's going to get away at this point, this far out, 3 miles out. I mean, you really got to be Superman if you're going to take off at 3 miles here and solo off. And plus, you know, this is the other thing. You always got to read the field. Inside or outside. Read the field. Are people being aggressive? Are they being reactive? You know, really pay attention to what's going on. If you got a bunch of tired guys and you see towards the end of the race no one's reacting, they're always waiting for somebody else, then someone can get away because you have people going, no, you chase, no, you chase. So you always like those kind of scenarios because you really can get up the road on those deals. So now we are on not quite the last lap, but only 2.5, just over 2.5 miles to go. So this is definitely danger time. as far as don't burn any matches, don't let anybody get up the road, really, really be sharp, really pay attention to what's going on, don't be silly, and be calm, know what you're trying to do, and watch the race unfold around you until it comes to the point where you decide you're going to do what you're going to do. So yeah, at this point, my big worry is just somebody else getting crazy. One or two guys getting crazy with huge efforts off the front. Because, first of all, I think enough guys would chase that wouldn't work. But I would definitely have to burn a match to get there, to make sure I stayed in there. And I don't want to be gassed when it comes time to jump. That's, you know, that's not going to work. If my heart rate's too high, then I'm going to end up just dragging myself around. And I've seen these kind of things just go crazy from a mile out, and it's just a solid line of guys going 450 watts, and then you can't do anything except just sit on a wheel and hang on, you know, and then just punch it at the very end and see where you end up. I mean, we've all been in those kind of finishers in Zwift too. So all right, so we're gonna come up here to the bell lap. Couple little surges, but there's my buddy Jojo off to the left. Jojo's a very classy rider, nice guy, will beat me in the end. That guy will beat me in the end if I let him. He has more punch than I do, so I don't want to go into a final sprint with him because he will torch me. So I'm just going to now is where my position, once we get to this last lap, it really is all about position. But I know right here, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know what I want to try to do. Sweep down the hill, get some draft, slingshot right out, and then go. So we shall see whether the plan will work or not. But now it really depends on what everybody else does this last lap, and can I get my positioning right. So we're going to come up to the little punch hill here. We're going to go over. We'll see how hard I don't think everybody will go over the hill as hard this time because everybody's saving it for that last time. That's what I think. We'll see. Now, if I was a rider right in here that just absolutely couldn't sprint at all, but I could go uphill decent, I probably would just bury it. See if you could get a gap right here. Well, I mean, why not, you know? Now, I'm having to go a little bit harder than I would like. 500 watts is probably more than I would like to do, but all I'm trying to do is maintain contact. That's all I'm doing. And you see me, I sit down, I'm like, got people all around me. I mean, you notice we didn't go quite as hard. I didn't look, but I don't know we even had any red numbers going over that time, so. All right, so here we go, bell lap. Mile and a half to go. Do you have some butterflies? Maybe. I don't really get butterflies anymore. Honestly, I just really don't. Not after I've raced 450 races outside and 350 races on Zwift. It's like, you know, I enjoy it and I have fun, but I don't get nervous. No, I just don't get nervous. All right, so here we are. Last lap. My goal is I really need to be towards the back of the group. But that's, of course, dangerous if it gets really fast at the front of the group and I'm at the back of the group. Then all of a sudden I get out myself trying to make up ground, and that would be bad because I'd have to burn gas before my launch point. So I'm really, really trying to do the delicate dance right here. I need to slide back. I need to slide back. I don't need to be up here, that's for sure. And that's why you see my watts going down 180. I want these guys to kind of flood up around me, but I can't just stop pedaling because all of a sudden then all of a sudden I might have to go too hard to get back. You know, it's tricky. It's tricky trying to hold position in Zwift. It really is. It is not easy to hold your spot. It's way easier to hold your spot outside than it is in Zwift. You just get waved up and back so easy. We are at 1 mile to go. My spot is not far away. So I'm going to, again, just try to ease off here, ease off. Not too easy. If anyone else jumps right now in here, I'm in trouble because it's going to string out and go crazy. I'm banking on everybody waiting for the last half mile. That's what I'm waiting, and I want to go just before that. So we are almost there. Now I'm right where I want to be. For some reason, I go a little bit too hard right there. I'm not sure what the heck I was doing there. I went a little bit too hard, and I'm a little bit too farther ahead than I want to be, so I'm going to back off again. And I almost back off too much because now I'm way at the back. I don't want to be back this far, so I'm going to have to go pick it up a little bit because I'm definitely too far back. That's silly right there to get that far back. So now I have to go a little bit harder than I want. Get back in contact because I'm almost to ground zero for me. But it's worked out so far. Now I went a little bit too hard and it starts to shoot me to the front again. I'm like, oh my God. So now I back off. Now I back off. Okay, I'm right where I need to be. I'm right about where I need to be. I should be able to get a slingshot. We're almost there. Half a mile, hoping nobody else goes yet. Because my left turn is coming right up here shortly. So I drop back again. Now I'm right where I need to go. Because here's my turn. Here we go. I got to slide through the group. I'm starting to pick it up. I'm getting a good draft. I'm getting some draft. Here we go. We're going to pick up some speed. There's a little punch, and I got to go right here. Full gas. Don't hold anything back. Full gas. Arrow power up, and full gas. Try to get a gap immediately. Now, there's a few red numbers behind me, but they're not like doubles. They're not like 11s and 12s. So full gas. I'm going down the hill. The group has no advantage on me right now because I'm going downhill and I'm carrying a lot of speed, which is what I'm banking on. Here's the hill. I don't know how far these guys are behind me, but I just have to bury it. I have to bury it right now because my arrow power up is gone. There we go. So it's just me on this little stupid hill right here. I am gagging. I'm telling you what, I am totally out of gas right here. I got to punch it over this hill. I don't know where they are behind me. I really don't. I just have to go. Now downhill. Can it carry me to the finish? I've got to just keep going. Go. Don't let off. I think they're going to come around me at the end, but they didn't. So, that worked. It worked. It certainly doesn't always work, but in this case, it did. So, it always feels good when you can pull something off like that. I mean, I felt like I planned it out pretty well, and I timed it just right. And there was reaction behind me, but I guarantee you there were some guys back there that they were going hard, but they weren't going full gas because they just thought it was too early to commit. But the terrain worked very well to help me there because I was able to get that speed and then carry it into that downhill, and then the group had no advantage. They had no advantage on me at that point, so it worked out. So anyway, hopefully I didn't chatter on too much there and bore anybody, but that's gonna do it for today. I'll try to have a webcam next time. My webcam's set up so I'm not this disembodied voice floating around. But good race, as always. The Europe race is always, I think, the strongest field of all the fields. So, very well done to that front group. Very fast. All good guys. Congrats, and we will see you guys next week.